Okay.
And it should be starting soon. What we're going to do is I'll check on my Facebook page to make sure that it's on my phone.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I figured I'd go share it and start a watch party at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, you're high tech. That's how my mom, she does that too. She's like, oh, we're live. Okay, but let me do the three fingers up. And why isn't it doing the three fingers up here? Let's see. Okay. It's doing something different. It looks different than usual. Oh, okay.
Does it really?
Yeah, it looks a little. I gotta love this technology. Okay. Oh, I see. Alrighty. Okay, now we have the full screen. So, welcome everyone. This is Attorney Robyn McCoy with Robyn Legal. And we have with us our distinguished guest. We have Attorney Lisa Martin, who is a candidate for the 34th District Court. So, welcome, Lisa. Um, Go ahead. You were going to say hello.
I'm just going to say hello, Robyn. Thank you for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So everybody, this is Friday. Everybody's off work. It's chill time. You want to, have a drink. I've got water. You can chill. But as you all know, we have some elections coming up. We've got August 4th, and so I think it's very important that we educate you on candidates that are running for office, especially progressive candidates. So we have Lisa here to talk about her campaign and why you should vote for her as judge. So Lisa, I looked at your background. You went to Harvard in the house, and
Yes,
University of
ma'am.
Michigan Law School, University of Michigan in the house. I went there too. So what did you major in at Harvard?
I was a psychology major.
Okay, and what made you decide to go to law school?
The only thing I've ever wanted to be was an attorney. I knew that at 7 years old, and that was the path I was on. So when the opportunity arose after I graduated from Harvard, Michigan called me, and I was going to be back close to where I grew up. I was born and raised in Detroit, so Ann Arbor's, just a quick ride down 94.
Okay, and so you're running for judge. So what made you decide to run for this spot as judge?
Well, after I've been practicing since 1998, and I've practiced in most of the district courts in the area and a lot of the other parts of Michigan. And after these 2 decades, I've become sure that I have the temperament, the patience, and the experience to be an asset to the court. And when the opportunity arose earlier this year, I pulled petitions and got them circulated, got on the ballot, and thought that this community, actually the 5 cities that are served by the 34th District Court, would be well served by a candidate like myself with my education and my background and my legal experience.
Okay, and I saw you worked with LADA. I actually worked with LADA as well. And what did you do? Did you work in the civil or criminal? Which division?
I worked in the civil division. That was back in 99. I was in landlord tenant court almost every single day in 36th District Court. I would leave my office in the Penobscot building and walk over to 36th. That was back in a time when they were having a lot of issues with the habitability of the rental properties. So there were probably 12 attorneys in the group, and we stayed busy. It was every day on the landlord tenant docket over there. So I did that for a brief period of time. I also did public assistance over with a lot of food stamp, social security hearings, that type of thing.
Okay, and then I also know that you have worked actually as a magistrate already at the 34th District Court, correct?
I did. That was just shy of 2 years. I started with the court in the spring of 2018, and I was there until the end of February of this year. I did the in house mediations, civil infractions, which are traffic tickets, small claims cases, first appearance arraignments on the felonies, and misdemeanor cases.
Okay, and then you mentioned earlier, you said that for 34th District that court serves, what was it, 5 cities?
Yes, it serves the cities of Belleville, Romulus, Huron Township, Sumpter, and Van Buren Township. So it's just shy of 90,000 people in that community. But there are a number of other law enforcement agencies in addition to the city and township law enforcement. You also have Michigan State Police, you have conservation officers, any law enforcement agency that would service these 5 areas are also serviced by that court.
Okay, and so what makes you feel that you're qualified to serve as a judge in that area? Like, what unique qualities do you think that you possess to be a good judge?
Well, I have experience both in front of the bench and behind the bench, and I think that's unique in this particular race. I have practiced, like I said, for just over 20 years. I've had an impeccable professional record. I have the patience, I have the temperament, and I have the understanding of the community. I think that makes a difference in who you have as a judge. Someone who is a active and vibrant member of the community, someone who understands the people that come in front of them, has the patience, has the drive to be an asset. And that's what I want to be. I want to be an asset to that court.
Okay, and then as I'm sure you're aware, when you look at the system, criminal justice system, there's a disproportionate number of people that are poor. There's a disproportionate number of people that are African American. So as a judge, what would you do to try to help reduce those numbers of people that are poor or African American, or people who are struggling with mental health issues or substance abuse issues?
I think I would help by being understanding and taking into account that each case is a different and unique case. People might have different needs to get through the system. Everyone's not going to need a fine. The best way to serve people are not going to necessarily be a fine sometimes. It might be community service. There might be some other constructive ways that you can help resolve their issue, the issue that brought them to the court. So those types of things. You have to think outside the box. And I think that the changes that different courts have had to make during COVID are encouraging courts and judges and staff to kind of think outside the box. And I think that will go a long way towards reducing recidivism in the court. I mean, you can't necessarily reduce the number of African Americans or any demographic that you see in the court, but how you deal with people once they get there, I think has an impact on them returning to the court for a different matter of the recidivism.
Okay, and then when you talk about temperament, you and I have both practiced. I've seen some judges that have good temperaments, and I've seen some judges that don't have good temperaments. They can get emotional and upset, and sometimes it's like it seems like they take it out on the clients. And what would you do to try to prevent that from happening to you, or from getting what some people call it black robitis? Like, some judges, they just let everything go to their heads, and then, as I said, it's not calm and collected. They're excitable and angry, and they'll take it out on the clients and sometimes the attorneys. So what would you do to prevent that from happening to you?
Well, I had this conversation with someone else last night. Being a practicing attorney as long as I have, I know a lot of attorneys, and I think that if I were exhibiting what's been called Black Robe Fever, I think my friends would call me to task. I think that the other judges in the building would call me to task, and the residents definitely would. Every 6 years, residents have an opportunity to say, yes, I like this judge, I'm going to reelect her, or no, she hasn't served the people well, and I won't reelect her. So I think that those kind of things, keeping in mind that this is the people's job that you're being given the privilege of doing, I think that helps you kind of stay even, helps you with your patience, helps you with your temperament. You have to remember that you are, in fact, employed by the people, even though they don't employ you directly. This campaign period, I consider to be an interview process. I'm interviewing across these cities, and people get a chance to see me, see how I interact, and see how I am as a person. And then over the 6-year term, they'll get an opportunity to come into the courtroom. People can come in and court watch, or somebody might come in front of me and have a very pleasant experience, and they'll tell someone else. Where if there's a negative experience, I'm sure I'd hear about it. And I think those kind of checks help keep someone balanced and help them keep their temperament in order.
Okay, and then you've talked before, you said that you've had some community involvement. Can you tell our audience, like, what kind of involvement has that been as far as involvement in the community?
Well, right now I sit on the board of a recreation center in the city of Detroit. I'm a member of Operation Refuge, which is based in Inkster, but runs a food pantry. It runs a STEAM program in the summertime. It runs a young leadership training program. I volunteer with the Romulus Pumpkin Festival, which is a major event they have usually the third weekend in September. This year is a little different because of COVID, but I'm very active with my church, Second Grace United Methodist Church in the city of Detroit. I've been the past vice president of the NAACP Western Wayne District. And I just, whenever something comes up that I can be of service and volunteer my time, I try to do that.
Okay. And then what are some of the endorsements that you've had?
I am endorsed by the UAW Region 1A, thanks to Director Chuck Browning and the members of CAP Council. Also endorsed by Michigan Senator Erica Geis, Michigan State Representative Alex Garza, and Representative Christy Pagan, Wayne County Commissioner Al Haydes, and Van Buren Township, I'm endorsed by our clerk Leon Wright, our treasurer Sherry Budd. In the city of Romulus, I'm endorsed by Mayor Pro Tem John Barton, clerk Stacy Page, Treasurer Stacy Page, clerk Ellen Bragg, and council persons Tina Talley, Eva Webb, Virginia Williams, Kathy Abdu. I don't want to leave anybody out, and I feel like I am. Oh, Judge Cynthia Miller from Third Circuit Court in Wayne County. She endorsed me early, and she's been very supportive and helpful. Judge Kenneth King of the 36th District Court.
Okay.
So a lot of the people that were elected by the same community that I'm asking to elect me on to vote for me on August 4th, and then again on November 3rd.
Okay, so it's not just a one-time deal. You're saying that they would vote on the 4th, and then they would need to vote again in November. Is that
yes,
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's 5 people in the race right now, so there's a primary on August 4th. The top 2 vote getters from that will go on to the November 3rd general election.
Okay. And you said, I know you said that you have already worked in the court, so you're already familiar with the process of the 34th district as a magistrate and the staff and the environment.
Yes, I think I worked well with them. There are a lot of people who work for the court who have continued to encourage and support me as I'm on this campaign trail. And I thank them all, and I get regular texts and emails saying that was a nice post, that was a good interview, we're behind you. So I take that. It kind of buffers me to know that the people I worked closely with before are supporting me and encouraging me. And I think that I would return to the court as an asset based on my experience.
Okay. And then, so what kind of things have you been doing as far as campaigning, like as far as getting the word out about you and things like that?
I have a Google number that I use, so I've been getting phone calls. I have social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email. As my signs went out, my mailers went out, I started getting contact from people. So anyone who wants to talk to me, there are a million different ways to get it. There are multiple ways to reach me. There have been very few social distance events that I've been able to attend. So I'm just trying to make myself available to people as much as possible. I'm with you tonight. I was with someone else last night doing the Facebook Live just to kind of help people get a chance to see me and get out there. I think COVID really affected people's ability to get around, but the mailer, I sent out a postcard about 6 weeks ago now, went to 28,000 homes. So that was a way to get information out. And I have a lot of people that I call my surrogates in these 5 cities who are talking to friends and neighbors and relatives, helping to get the word out. And I told them I deputized them all to go out and help spread the word. So that it's just been multiple streams of information to make sure that people knew, A, that I was running, B, what my background was, and C, that I was ready to serve on day one.
Okay. And then, so have you been Zooming into, because I know normally you would be door knocking, but have you been doing a lot more like Zoom meetings, like Democratic Club or Republican Club or club meetings, things of that nature?
Any club that I saw come up that was any anything I might be interested in, anything that served this community I participated in. I was very lucky that the Belleville Chamber of Commerce did a candidates forum. It's probably been almost 2 months ago now. Early on in the cycle, the Belleville Chamber of Commerce invited all the judicial candidates. 4 of us participated, and so that video went out on YouTube. It's been circulated. So that type of thing, anytime someone sends me the invitation to Zoom in, even if I just get a 2-minute blurb to give a little bit about myself and my education, my background, I've taken advantage of it.
Okay, and then I know at the beginning of the interview we talked about how you went to Harvard. So what was it like going to Harvard?
It was fantastic, and I wish I had paid a little bit more attention, but I was so excited to be out and away from home. When you're growing up, you just think, I want to get away from home. I want to get away from these rules. But when I got out to Cambridge, it was actually phenomenal. There were other kids from Detroit there. There were other public school kids there. So it's a big culture shock going from a Detroit public school to being at one of the elite universities in the world. And I met people who I thought were just dorm mates who turned out to be children of ambassadors or, high-level federal government officials. These are people I was going to school with. So I had exposure both with my classmates and with my professors and just the community I was living in, exposure that I hadn't anticipated. And I don't think I fully appreciated until I went back later on as a recruiter for U of M, or when I went back to visit, thinking about all the history and the knowledge that existed on that campus. I truly loved my experience at Harvard. I think the first year I was very homesick. I came home as often as I could, but after that, I got so busy and got so involved in campus life that I soaked in as much as I could during those 4 years.
Okay, and then your high school, what I thought from your bio, you went to Cass Tech?
I did. I was a technician, class of 1990. We were supposed to be celebrating our 30-year reunion this year. So I was born and raised, like I said, in Detroit. I grew up not too far from Marygrove or Montfort, Montfort High School, Marygrove College. Okay. So Cass Tech was my high school. A little trip downtown to go to school, the 9-story building. It was a good time. It really was. I enjoyed myself there.
Okay, and then what was your experience like at the University of Michigan Law School?
I was so ready to come home, and when people said, well, where are you going to law school? I said, I'm homesick. I want to get back to Michigan. So we're in Michigan. I said, going to U of M. U of M? It's not like you're coming home to some small unknown college, some small unknown law school. I was coming home, being back with my family at one of the most prestigious law schools, and I truly enjoyed it. I had some phenomenal professors that helped me decide that when I graduated, I would start off at public service. And that's why I started off at legal aid. But I enjoyed my time at law school, from Professor Cooper in the morning civil procedure to Yale
Professor Cooper.
Yeah, I took 2 classes with Yale Camazar, and he at one point had me convinced that I should be a criminal defense attorney, because I would argue with him in class all the time. And he would just say, why are you yelling at me? I said, why are you yelling at me? But it was He
was amazing. Yeah, I had him for criminal law. Yale Camazar was amazing. And what other experiences did you have at the law school that you'd like to share with the audience? Yeah.
Well, I had a unique living experience in law school. There is a legal fraternity called Phi Delta Phi. So the FID house is what we call the house. And it was a huge mansion that had been broken up into 26, 27 individual rooms. So I'm living in this huge house with all these different law students, first, second, and third year students. And we had one random couple that was just from Ypsi Township, but they just happened to live in the house with us. But it was such a unique experience. I had never thought something like this was possible. It felt like a giant family. Because we were first, second, and third year law students, we got support from each other. We were able to share resources with each other. We had a common kitchen that we cooked in. There was only 4 bathrooms in the whole house. So I think that gave me a sense of family by not being in a dorm setting, but being more in a family setting where we had chores and people had different responsibilities. And I think that helped me to kind of fit into the law school experience a little better, understand how to study, because studying in law school was different than undergrad. There was a different rigor to it.
Oh, I know. I mean, I went to University of Chicago, And it was like they encouraged you. You read the material. They want to hear your opinion. And in law school, it's like, no, they want you to write it the way they want you to write it. It's a process. They don't really care what you think. They want your legal analysis. They want it a certain way, So, so you went to law school, and then I know you worked at LADA. I know you also did what did you do after? Can you tell the audience more about what you did after you left LADA?
After I left LADA, I went into collection work. I worked at probably 3 of the largest collection firms in the state of Michigan. And that just happened by chance. I had just finished a stack of 19 or 20 emergency landlord-tenant cases for LADA, and I plopped down at 36. And the lady sitting next to me said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just got back from vacation. I have this giant stack of emergency files that need work yesterday. And I think I'm done. I think I've had enough legal services." And so she handed me her card and said, "I work at this collection firm. We're hiring." So I hired on there.
Okay.
Worked there for a couple of years, went to a second firm, went to a third firm. And the lady who originally, her name is Elizabeth Martin, no relation, just same last name.
Okay.
She bought her own firm. So I wound up back with her for a period of time doing collections work and doing landlord-tenant work. So that was collections and landlord-tenant was my life for a 17, almost 18-year stretch before Judge Green at 34th District Court reached out to me and said, "We're considering bringing on an attorney magistrate. Are you available?" So that 17 years stopped abruptly, and then I found myself working in the court as the magistrate.
Oh, okay. And so what can you tell the audience, like you said that there's other candidates in the race, but what do you think distinguishes you from those candidates?
The fact that I have the experience as the magistrate of the court. So I've sat on the bench over there. That has been 34th District Court has been my home court for years. That's where my offices have assigned me. The people are familiar with me. The employees are comfortable with me. And so practicing in that court and sitting on the bench in that court, I think has a certain amount of, it lends itself to my experience. And the fact that I've done some of the work that a judge would be expected to do, the arraignment part of it, the hearings part of it, I've done that. And I think that people understand that it is a difficult job to be a judge. There's going to be a certain amount of on-the-job training, but you want someone who's already versed in some of what is required to get the work done and to be an asset to the court to help things move along smoothly. And I think that that's important for people to know. And I think it's an important part of my story that I've done the work already.
Okay, and then how do you feel, like, I know what some people have said is if you become a judge, that you're going to have a higher level of scrutiny than the average attorney would have. How do you feel you would deal with that?
I think it's expected. When you ask the people to vote for you and give you the blessing of doing their job, you expect to be subject to scrutiny. And the way I move through my day is knowing that my father is watching me. And I told somebody that a couple of days ago. So my father lives right in Redford. He watches me. He has seen me in court. If I've ever said or done anything that was a little out of step, he will correct me. And because I know that he's watching, my husband is watching, my family is in the area, my husband's family my mother-in-law lives 4 blocks from the court. So there are people who are watching me who will keep me honest. And if I've gotten to the age I am after 20-some years of practice, and I've been able to have a stellar professional record, not been in any sort of situation or circumstance, that's not going to change because I'm elected to court. I take it very seriously that the people entrust me with their job. When I stood in the Western District Federal Court in Kalamazoo when I was sworn in, I put my hand up and said, "I promise to uphold the laws of the state, the laws of the country, the Constitution of the state, the Constitution of the country." I meant it. I really did. When I signed my oath of office to become the magistrate, I meant every word of it. And I would not risk all these years of school and professional experience. I wouldn't risk it for anything. I wouldn't step out of line. I wouldn't want to let the people down who have been so supportive of me over the years.
Okay, and then if somebody wants to volunteer with your campaign or donate to your campaign, where do they go to do that?
The easiest place to go is lisamartinforjudge.com. LisaMartinForJudge.com. I'm also on Facebook, Lisa Martin for Judge. So if you go to the website, it'll take you to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There's buttons for you to sign up for yard signs, to make phone calls. Those are the best way to get hold of me.
Okay, and is there anything else that you would like the audience to know, the voting audience, about you?
I would just like them to know that I'm ready to do their job. I'm asking for their support. I'm asking for their vote on August 4th. There will be absentee before August 4th. Just to go to the right-hand column on your ballot under the nonpartisan section and mark Lisa Martin for Judge. If you go to my website, you want to know any more information about who's endorsing me or my background or my experience, or if you know someone who has a yard sign out, ask them why they're supporting me, and I'm sure I'm hoping you hear some nice words. So if anyone has any questions, all they have to do is go to the website, and I'm happy to answer anything. I'm here. I'm available to you. I love the community that I live in, and I would like to serve it as their next judge.
Okay, well, I don't have any other questions, so good luck to you. And you have a blessed evening, and everybody go out and vote for Lisa. So, okay, I'll see you later.
Thank you, Robyn. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.